Between Pokemon Go, Super Mario Run, and Fire Emblem Heroes, there are precious few options for playing Nintendo games on your smartphone. That is unless, of course, you have this thing, the Hyperkin SmartBoy. When Hyperkin teased an accessory that would let you play classic Game Boy cartridges on your smartphone, it did so in the guise of an April Fool's joke. Over the course of a couple years, however, that gag eventually turned into this, the SmartBoy. This bulky retro gaming smartphone case is nostalgic almost to the point of absurdity. Pairing it within an Android device that uses a USB Type-C connector will let you relive the days of the Game Boy with accurate feeling controls and support for real physical game cartridges. But it just doesn't do much else. That's largely because of the case's design. It looks like the bottom half of an old Game Boy just wrapped around a smartphone, with the case's controls covering a little more than half of the device's screen. This means it basically can't be used for anything other than apps that are retro game emulators and place all of the action on the top third of your phone's display. That's a little weird, but this experience is so novel, you might not even care. Games played through the SmartBoy's recommended emulator, My Old Boy, looked great on my Nexus 5X's display, and the SmartBoy's thick case offered a comfortable grip that reminded me a lot of the heft of the original Game Boy. The buttons feel really nice too. They're a bit more firm than I remember from Nintendo's original hardware, but they still offer great control in games. There's also a pair of shoulder buttons on the back of the device that are perfect for Game Boy Advance games, but that's where this gets a little tricky. The SmartBoy doesn't actually play Game Boy Advance games. At least not officially. The SmartBoy's cartridge port physically accepts Game Boy Advance cartridges, but Hyperkin tells Engadget that GBA games just took too long to load to provide a good user experience. That's because the SmartBoy doesn't technically play games directly from the cartridge. It temporarily downloads them to your phone. The process is a little cumbersome too. Players need to insert the cartridge, download it, open a separate app to play the game, and then select that downloaded cartridge from a file manager. It's easy when you get the hang of it, but at first it's just a little weird. Game Boy Advance games can still be played with the SmartBoy, but doing so means loading a ROM on your smartphone through legally ambiguous means, something Hyperkin doesn't officially endorse. In fact, to keep things above board, the SmartBoy automatically deletes any game you load in it from the cartridge as soon as you're done from it, and it throws up a piracy warning screen if you try and take the game out mid-session. The SmartBoy will cost about $50 when it hits stores in late August, and if you can get past its quirks and limitations, it's a pretty fun toy. Maybe it's not the easiest way to play classic Nintendo games, but if you have an affinity for weird gadgets and old cartridges, it's a surprisingly nostalgic one.